What's going on, guys? Welcome back. My name is Brandon. When I started this YouTube channel, I started out day one with 0 subscribers. Now we fast forward to a couple years. I now have close to, I think, 80,000. And it's only because of you guys that watch my content and you've allowed me to grow my channel. Part of me growing is wanting to give back to the community that has been so great to me. Not only are we currently doing a $650 multi-process aluminum welder giveaway, I'm actually doing another. Stick around. And this is one of the machines we're currently doing a giveaway with, guys. This is a 200 amp multi-process MIG welder. It does steel. It also MIG welds aluminum with the included liner. It does stick and it does lift TIG, and it also is spool gun compatible. This is going to be given to one lucky subscriber on my channel. You have to watch this video up here and down in the video description to be eligible. Here it is, guys. This is going to be a 200 amp multi-process MIG welder. And I'm going to open it up, show you what we got, and I'll explain to you the details so that you can get in, because one lucky subscriber is going to win this. Let's start out by kind of checking it out, seeing some of the things that we get with this. Alright, so here's your MIG gun. This is also a 120, 240 volt machine, guys, so if all you've got is 120 volt power in your workshop, then you're all set. It comes with the adapter cord. If you have 240, obviously you're good there. Here's our spool gun switch, and the drive roll setup looks really nice. This is all metal construction. It looks really good. Comes with solid wire drive rolls. Let's 30 and 35 thousandths. Takes the big reels as well as the standard small ones. Nice. And this machine will also weld aluminum. You'd have to buy a spare graphene liner, which I don't see that it has. And here's your 120, 240 volt converter plug. Let's see what else we have for accessories. Here's our stinger. You got your earth or ground or working lead, and comes with this little shield as well, that handheld shield. I don't use those. You can see here there's a piece of film over this faceplate. I'm going to leave it on there. I'll let you guys take it off. Whoever's going to win this. This is so far looking like a nice machine. Feels pretty solid. I like the looks of it and the feel of the construction. And the one thing that I notice on this that I like a lot is that the feet on this aren't hard plastic, it's rubber. It sits here and it wants to grip to the table, and it feels like really isolated. So like it doesn't want to slide. I have to like force it to slide. So that's kind of a nice feature. This does Synergic Mig, manual MIG. It's an inverter, so it does stick welding, and it'll also do lift TIG, which is nice. And like I said, it'll also weld aluminum. And here's the back specification for you guys wanting to know more about it. And here's your gas port, which is a little unusual. I didn't see that it came with a flow meter or a gas hose. So basically, this is a barb fitting. You just slip it over and put a clamp on that. That's for either your argon or your CO2. Let's fire this up and see how it works. I like that display. I like it a lot. So let's look at some of the features. I'm figuring this out as I work with you guys. So Synergic Mig. Oh, here are all the processes. And you got manual MIG, stick welding, TIG welding. So let's Synergic MIG. Maximum amperage is 170. Then you've got stick welding, and that goes up to 200, down to 20. Then we've got TIG. TIG goes down to 20 amps, up to 200. Now let's start looking at some of the parameters for Synergic MIG. We'll get into some of the other settings and just kind of mess with it. And I'm just doing this as we go. You click this first one, that's run in. Run in has to do with how much wire gets fed out at the initial part of your arc. Then the next one is inductance. And I like how it spells it out. And the next one's burn back time, pre-gas, how much gas is flowing prior to the initial start of the arc, spot weld, so it's got a spot weld feature on it. We'll have to get into that last one and find out what that does. But let's say you wanted to go in and do some stick welding. You just toggle over to MMA, then hit your settings button, and there you go. VRD, anti-stick, hot start, arc force. It literally gives you each parameter. VRD off, toggle on this, off and on. Basically what VRD is, it's basically just a safety feature. It just lowers the output voltage to a safe, manageable level, so when you walk away. Also works good if you're in like damp or moist conditions or on like a construction site. And then anti-stick, off or on, hot start, you can adjust it from 0 to 10. And arc force or dig, 0 to 10. Then you got your amperage setting. Pretty intuitive setup, really. Okay, so we'll be back to Synergic Mig. This up here sets what we're welding for material. So aluminum, copper aluminum, ferrous metal, stainless steel, flux core. Let's do ferrous metal. So that would be ferrous metal straight CO2, ferrous metal argon and CO2. So that'd be C25 gas. Let's do that. Messing around over here. So one thing I didn't notice, guys, is you have a pre-gas and you hit it again real quick, and now you got a post-gas. So before and after. These buttons are actually pretty intuitive, and the manual is actually pretty good too. So when you're in manual MIG mode, turning this, you see how it says M minimum? That's your wire feed speed, and it also references it back down in here with your dial showing your drive rolls, so that signifies that. This knob over here adjusts your welding voltage all the way up to 28.5 down to 10 based on your wiring diameter, which is this one. This one selects the available wire, 0.6, 0.8, 0.9, 1. Pretty handy little machine, guys. As with any machine, it takes a minute to get set up and get used to it and figure out how all the parameters work and how all the buttons work. And I'll do a good tutorial on this, so for whatever subscriber wins this, he'll kind of have like a nice guide to get them going. And if it's not a subscriber, just somebody who wants to know about maybe purchasing one of these or getting one, I'll have this video available to them to get them all set up and running pretty quick. Overall, I kind of really like this display, and I think in general welders have come a long ways over the years as far as like making this intuitive so that people starting out can get up and running really quick. I think what we're going to do too as well here pretty soon is we're going to test the output amperage like we've been doing on all our machines. I've got some videos I'll put up above where we've been actually comparing advertised output, so like this is a 200 amp machine, to make sure that we're getting 200 amps out of the machine when it's actually working that process. Now, you don't want to be paying for a 200 amp machine and only have 150 amps available to you, because that wouldn't, you'd be wasting your money. Are you getting your money's worth, right? So let's start doing some MIG welding with this, but in order to be able to do that, I'm going to have to hook up a hose to the back, and because it doesn't come with a hose and it's just got that barbed fitting, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make up a hose, and I will just ship this with whatever lucky subscriber wins this welder. That way all you'll have to do is supply the gauge and you'll be able to be welding the same day. This is just a standard MIG welding hose, and I just cut the end off it. I'll slide it over that barbed fitting on the back. I'll heat this up a little bit. This tube diameter is a little bit smaller than the barbed fitting on the back of the machine. Put a little hose clamp on that and you guys should be good. I probably won't be able to ship it like this because it'll probably kink this and pinch it, and then it won't be any good. So, but I will just throw this in the box for whoever wins it, and that way you can connect this directly to your flow meter or your gauge. Now when you guys get this, make sure that when you hook this up to your tank that you turn on your regulator and all that, and then you just spray some soapy water around this, just lightly, to make sure that you have no leaks. It should be fine because it fits really tight, but it's just always good to check all your connections. I always do. Whenever I hook up a new bottle or a new machine, I always check all my connections. All it takes is just a little spray bottle with just a few drops of soap in it. But that only works for non-flammable gases. Don't go doing that with other gases. You can do it with C25 gas, and you can do it with argon safely. Slowly turn on the tank. Open these valves all the way up because they have back sealing valves on them. So that'll prevent it from leaking past the packing inside the valve. I'll bring you in just for the heck of it and show you how I test connections. So this is just basically a water bottle, and it is filled with a few drops of laundry detergent, and I've just put a pinhole right in the very top of it. I use this for everything. I use this for checking tires and seat and beads on motorcycle tires. So just put a little drop right in here, and you're looking for bubbles. No bubbles there. You can see we've got pressure on the gauge and in the tank. And I do the same thing over here. Just check it. You'd know right off if there was a leak. You'd start to see some bubbles form right around the threaded connections. And we're good. And I even check where it threads into the tank too. Kind of run my finger around it to make sure it's wet all the way around the connections. And if there was any problems, they would show up as bubbles. So we're good. Nice tight seals right now. So we got a nice tight connection here. We've got a nice tight connection at the back of the machine. We're all set. We're not losing any valuable gases. So rather than get into the supplied MIG gun that you're going to get with this kit, guys, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it all packaged up nice. So for whatever subscriber wins this, it'll be brand new. So the MIG gun that you're going to see me use is not the one you're going to get. I'm actually using my own. Because this just takes a standard Euro MIG gun end, you can buy these anywhere on the internet for around 50 bucks if you wanted one, and put in a graphene liner in it, and it just makes it so easy to switch over from mild steel over to aluminum because you're just switching out the MIG gun. For this, guys, I'm using 30 thousandths Lincoln solid wire. Now, whenever I'm starting out with a new machine, one of the things that I like to do to get accustomed to it as to how it's supposed to work is I go into Synergic Mode. Now the Synergic Mode is basically, you generally set a couple parameters, usually material thickness and the wire type and diameter that you're using, and the machine calculates all the rest. It'll calculate wire feed speed, voltage, and amperage. So for that reason, I like to go into Synergic Mode first, because right now I know that I'm using 30 thousandths wire and we're going to be welding a piece of 14 gauge steel. So for that, we can set those parameters in this machine, and those should be the ideal settings for this machine. But if they're not, at least now you have a baseline to know what this machine needs, and then you could always go into manual mode after and adjust up or down from those Synergic settings. Make sense? So let me bring you in, I'll show you some of the settings that we're going to set up, and I'll show you how to do it. Again, we got a piece of 14 gauge steel, which works out to be 2 millimeters, and we're using 30 thousandths wire in C25 gas. You can see here that we're in Synergic mode, and we get into that mode by pressing this. This just toggles through all the processes that this machine does. Then we can come down here and adjust all our other parameters. Run-in, inductance, burn back time, pre-gas, post-gas, let's just do 0.2. Spot time, and this is 2T and 4T, guys. That's all this is. That's the trigger mode. Now I'll briefly talk about what these settings do, but I'm not going to go too in depth on it because I've covered it in other videos. Let's say you have a stainless steel wire, which is much harder than mild steel wire. What you're going to want to do is have a slower run-in to make up for that harder wire. It takes more temperature and more heat to melt that wire, so that as soon as the machine senses that that arc starts, it'll revert back to its program and feed the wire in as normal. As opposed to an aluminum wire, which is much softer than mild steel, you're going to want to increase that. You're going to want to start pushing out material a lot faster at the very beginning of your arc so that you don't get burned back into the tip. Does that make sense? That's pretty much what run-in does. If you got softer wire, speed it up. If you've got harder wire, back down your run-in. We'll set our run-in for, I don't know, 0 to 2. We'll try that setting today. So your next setting is inductance. And inductance, you can think of this as like frequency if you're AC welding. Real basic terms, if you're welding thin metal, you can reduce the inductance, which is going to give you a pinpointed, smaller, finer bead. And if you're welding thicker stuff, increase your inductance. It's going to give you a wider, more fluid bead. Then you've got burn back time. Burn back time is at the end of your weld, so it's after you've let off the trigger. This is real important with aluminum because you don't want it to burn back into your tip. So if you're running aluminum, you want to increase your burn back time. Again, if you're running harder materials, you can reduce it. Softer materials, increase it. Then you've got pre-gas. That's a little bit of gas at the beginning of your weld, which is good to have nice coverage and get the oxygen out of your weld so you get a nice crisp start. And then you've got post-gas. Give it a little bit of cool down gas afterwards. Then you got spot, and we're not doing the spot. And then we've got 2T and 4T, and we're in 2T mode. Pull the trigger, wire comes out. Let off, it stops. And we have our run-in set for 2, our inductance set for 0. Burn back time, we're going to turn it back to 2. Pre-gas, 0.4 tenths of a second. Post-gas, 0.2 tenths of a second. We're not doing spot. So now, we're going to set it for, we can go from ferrous metals, argon, CO2. That's what we're using. Now, we're going to select our wire diameter. So 0.6, we're using 0.8 because that's 30 thousandths. Now we're going to select our material thickness, and that's this value over here, and we do that by turning this knob. Now if you watch, as I rotate this clockwise, so this is 0.6 millimeters, it's going to change the amperage and the voltage. It'll correspond to our thickness, again, because we're in Synergic mode. So 14 gauge is 2 millimeters, so I'm going to rotate this until we're at 2 millimeters. 1. You can see how this band has actually gotten wider over here now. 7, 8, 9. 2 millimeters. So that's giving me 119 amps or 17.5 volts. Within this same material thickness, I can continue to rotate this clockwise, which will give me 120 amps at 17.5 volts, 121 amps, and then it jumps to 2.1 millimeters and 122 amps. So let's go at 119 amps. And there we are. That machine is now set up. And that's all there is to it, guys. That is what is so great about Synergic mode in these machines, that now you have some numbers that you can go by if you went into manual mode. So you'd know that if you're using 14 gauge metal, you'd be right around 139 amps and 17.5 volts. You could easily switch over to manual mode using those settings, and then you could actually change your voltage independent of amperage or your wire feed speed. It just gives you some fine-tune adjustments. But again, by putting it in Synergic mode, this kind of gets you a basic general feeling of what these settings should be, so you have a nice starting point, and then you can adjust and fine-tune from those values. I think it just makes it a lot easier, especially when you're setting up a new machine, or even if you're new to welding, so that way you're not so far off base that it's just not right and you don't know what you're chasing down and to try to get it to be right. So with this all set now, let's get to welding. And again, guys, when you're running shielding gases, it's DC electrode positive, so your lead coming out of the machine is going to go back to positive so that your MIG gun is positive. Then your ground or your earth is going back to ground. And again, I'm using my consumables. This is not the consumables you're getting with your kit. Yours are still in the box. Alright guys, I cheated a little bit. Normally I make the first arc, the one that you see in here, but out of excitement I wanted to try it on my own, and I ran a little tiny bead, not this goober mess down here, this is another experiment we did, but this little tiny one right here, and I'll tell you what, this is an awesome machine. It fired right up, super crisp arc. It's got a really nice, fast, crisp arc. For the 1-inch bead that I did, super impressed so far. Now, can you hear that solenoid, guys? It's giving me a little bit of gas beforehand and a little bit after. Now, just so that that's more pronounced, let me turn up the post gas, which will be the gas after I let off the trigger, so you can get an idea. So we'll toggle over to pre-gas, post-gas. Let's turn that up to, let's say, 1.5 seconds. Now when I let off the trigger, you'll hear the gas run for 1.5 seconds longer. Did you hear that? The solenoid cycled for 1.5 seconds. Right, so I'm just looking up this machine, and you buy these through their company. They say they're selling them on AliExpress. I've never dealt with them. This company's obviously from China. $384 is the price of this unit that I'm testing right now. And they got a bunch of different units that you can see here. You can say, so far I'm pretty happy. And you can go and check, check about them. says ships in 2 days, 15-month warranty, customer service, blah, blah, blah. If you want to know more, I'll have links down in the video description. You guys can check them out. And I'll test out some more of these processes that it does, including aluminum, TIG, and stick, just to see how it is and how it welds, in case you guys are thinking about buying one or possibly winning one, which would even be better, right? Let me be clear on how these giveaways work, because some people try to like infiltrate the channel and hijack it and tell the people who are commenting in the channel that they've won. First off, I will never ever reach out to anyone in the comment section and say you've won. You'll know what the rules are prior to us going into it, because I put them in the video description so that you know what the rules are, what's required of you, and when the winner is going to be announced. The winner will always be announced on all of my social media pages. If you get somebody in the comments saying that you won prior to the date that I said that I'm going to announce it, it's not me. And the way these giveaways work is that one lucky winner is chosen. I package this thing up and I ship it to the address that you give me. It costs you $0. I'm not asking you for freight charges, shipping, a donation or a tip or any other thing like that. I literally will package this up, send it to the winner. Their name's going to be announced on the internet, and I send it to you. And you enjoy it and use it and hopefully love it. That's how these work, guys. So what do you say we start testing this and hook on a clamp-on amp meter and see if this is actually putting out its advertised amperage that it says it does. So I'm going to start by putting this machine in manual mode, and then I'm going to crank the amperage and the voltage up as high as it'll go. Now we're in manual mode. The one thing I want to show you is with adjusting the inductance. Watch the weld profile over here when I change the inductance. So let me go into the inductance menu. Now watch what happens when I increase it. See how it makes a concave profile, and then when I decrease it, it makes it convex. I think I'm saying that right. Convex, concave, I don't know. But you can see how changing that value changes your weld profile. Alright, I got the machine set for DC amperage. It's set to record minimum and maximum values. And let's see, and I got the machine pinned out. Now this may not fully put out the 170, I think, amps that it's rated for in this process mode, guys. And the reason for that is a lot of it has to do with wire diameter. If 30 thousandths wire isn't going to carry 170 amps, they're not going to allow that. I'd have to adjust that and set it to a bigger wire to allow the amperage to be able to flow through it. But we probably ought to get, I would think, 100 and maybe 40. But again, contact tip to work distance will change that value as well. So I'll start welding. We're going to definitely be in spray arc mode. You'll hear the difference. It'll be like a whistling sound, so here we go. And it literally blew right through that. And there we are, guys, 139 amps that we were getting, and it literally blew a hole through it almost immediately. Let me get some thicker material and see if we can increase that number. There we go. We've now increased that value up to 161, and I think we said it was what, 170? So that would be like contact tip to work distance, and I'm basically just holding it right here. But again, I think my 30 thousandths wire is limiting me. If I had 35 thousandths, we'd probably be right up in the 170 range. So I have no concerns that this welder is not putting out its advertised amperage. And that's all there is to it, guys. This is one capable welder. And like I've said in a lot of my other videos surrounding these giveaways, is that I didn't do this on my own. This is because of you, and because you guys interact with my stuff, you guys watch it, you share it, you enjoy it. It's allowed my channel to grow, and it's given me opportunities to be able to do these things, to give back to the welding community. I get so many emails and comments from people that are just getting into welding. Some parents are talking about getting their kids into welding, and they're doing this stuff with their children. And it's just a great opportunity, I think, to help someone out, to get them into the trades, whether you're an older person trying to upgrade, whether you're a younger person just getting in the trades. I think that this is going to be a great opportunity. And again, not only are we doing one giveaway, we're doing two. So I love being able to give back to the welding community and the people that support me. So here are the rules, guys. I'm going to put it on the screen. You've got to be 18 years of age or older to enter. I will ship this welder to you to any of the 50 states. Can't be a P.O. box. You got to have a physical address. Winner will be announced on November 10th, 2022, so exactly a month away from the first giveaway that we're going to be doing. And it's going to be just in time for Christmas, guys. I know we don't want to think about Christmas quite yet, but this could actually be a great Christmas present for someone. And you have to share this video on your social media pages. I'm going to pick one subscriber from that comment section, and I'm going to announce that winner on November 11th, 2022. That winner will be announced on all my social media pages. It'll be announced here on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram. So make sure you are hitting the notifications and you're subscribed to all of those. As always, guys, new videos every Friday. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you guys for supporting my stuff. Like it up, share it, comment, subscribe. Until next week, guys, I will see you then. Take care, stay safe, see ya.